Now, are we saying your surname correctly, by the way? Is it a silent W?
Yes.
Twomey.
Yes.
I told you that.
Yeah.
Good to see you, mate.
Good to see you, gents.
You're
What's
looking
happening?
a bit more relaxed than when I last saw you.
Yeah, well, last time we
What
come
about
off...
your first name? That's hard too.
You're struggling with that one, aren't you?
Callum Murray.
I had a neighbour who called me Carl for about 3 years.
It's been hectic.
It has been. 18 players have moved clubs now. Everyone came into the trade period saying, it's going to be a bit quieter. There's not going to be as much movement. Still think there's about 15 deals to go before Wednesday night.
Wow.
Righto.
So there might be a little bit more action today and tomorrow, and then I reckon half of it will get done in the last hour.
Minute, yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And what's happened today?
So Lachie Schultz has become a Magpie. That's a big one. They've offered and got that done using a future first-round pick from next year's draft.
Wow.
As well as pick 34 in this year's draft. So essentially...
That sounds overs.
Yeah,
me.
he was contracted though, and they've given
Righto.
him a 5-year offer to come to the club, 4 years and a trigger. And essentially what they've done is they've turned Taylor Adams, who was pick 34 from the Swans, so Taylor Adams and a future first-round pick, into Lachie Schultz.
Right.
He's 25. He's kicked 33 goals. He's going to suit how they play perfectly. They're in the
What's
window.
his name again?
Lachie Schultz.
I see nothing. I know nothing.
Oh, my God. Craft. That's the craft you're getting.
Shoehorn.
And Liam Henry.
Yeah, Dockers have been busy, got their stuff done. So 2 players out of there. He was traded for a future second-round pick to St Kilda and a
That
swap
seems
of...
like unders to
Yes,
me, Cal.
Well, this is the difference, James, because he wasn't contracted. So they had a bit of the upper hand with the Schultz deal, but Liam Henry out of contract would have walked at pre-season draft if they had to. 4-year deal for him to join St Kilda. It also gives the Dockers now a big hand for next year. So the Dockers have 3 first-round picks for next year. So we just keep an eye on what they do next year now because they're loaded in money terms, but also in pick terms. So any West Australians that are coming out of contract next year, one of which is Logan McDonald at the Swans, we just wait and see.
Because we did hear about Jamara too, Ugle-Hagan. There might be a big offer for him next year.
I reckon there'll be many big offers for Jamara Ugle-Hagan next year. He's one of a few key forwards out of contract, Ben King being one of them. Aaron Norton was going to be one of them before he signed till about 2040.
Has there ever been a better time in the history of our game to be a key, either forward or back, coming out of contract? Because with all of the dearest respect to a few of them, they aren't we're not talking about Wayne Carey.
The market is incredible, isn't it, for these guys? And knowing the draft as well, they're so hard to find. So when you get someone who can come in and you don't have to do the developing yourself, they're the new rucks, aren't they? If you get a good one, you stick with them. And if you don't have one, we talk about the key defender carousel. Forget the ruck merry-go-round. It's the key defender carousel now. You need one, you lose one, you go and find one.
So North, they've lost one. They've got a couple of blokes they brought in. Who are they?
They've got Biggie Newen coming in. He's a very cheap option from Richmond, a youngster. He's played 1 game from the Tigers.
Fat's got no time.
Newen.
Big O and Newen.
Oh, right. Yep. From Richmond.
From Richmond.
Yeah.
And I said that.
And
All
he
of
did-
that.
Yep. And Toby Pink too, I see.
Yep, he's
From
in as
Sydney,
well.
yes.
From Sydney originally, and he's been playing some sample footy the last few years, so they're able to actually sign him as a delisted free agent. So he's in. And
Backups, Jim, for North.
yeah, and they lose Ben Mackay, of course.
Oh, look at him.
I know.
I know, he's up and about.
Carl, what he did is he went to the races Saturday and then he went to the basketball yesterday, and he can't do too many things.
No.
It affects his brain function.
Too many sports. Harrison Petty is not going anywhere, says Melbourne.
100%.
100%.
Said the list manager today, Tim Lamb.
Yep.
100% locked in. And I believe that because
They need him.
they need him. They
Bloody
can't
oath.
lose him. They're in the window. What's a pick going to do for their premiership hopes next year?
Yep.
Now, they're still a watch in the race for Harley Reid because they got pick 6, pick 11, and a future first-round pick. So I'm just keeping a bit of an eye on that one.
What's
We
happening
were going to
there?
hold that over the break.
Sorry.
Actually,
I
the,
tease.
pick one. We're going to tease that.
All right. Then.
But Harrison Petty, I agree. He went forward to the ball for Melbourne back half of this year and looked really good.
They missed him in the finals,
Yeah,
didn't
they
they?
did.
Missed him and Jake Melksham, who's also going to be locked in for next year, a new deal, even though he's going to miss half the year with an ACL injury. The watch here now for the Demons is how they get this Shane McAdam deal done because Adelaide want Harrison Petty to be a part of it. The D's are saying no. So they've offered a future second-round pick, and judging by the value for Liam Henry, which was a future second-round pick, I think that's about right. I mean, he's 6 years younger.
What about the vitriol that gets aimed at clubs that don't do anything at this time
It's
of year?
funny, isn't it?
Like, all they're doing is saying, well, we're pretty happy with what we got and we're happy to go into the draft, and they get absolutely split down the middle.
Yeah, so Geelong's been quiet. And everyone's like, what's happening with
Yeah.
Geelong?
Come on, Mac. What are you doing, Mackie?
But they had a very busy period last year. They picked 4 guys who were, 24 or under.
Yeah.
So they sort of replenished that way. But yeah, it's almost like everyone's got doubts unless you go and improve through this way.
Is he still...
Asava's still in the works. Port Adelaide is the big watch heading into Wednesday night. They've got 4 deals that they haven't got much movement on yet. Asava Ratugolea, Brandon Zerk-Thatcher. Obviously, also, I've forgotten the other 2 now.
The little speedster.
No, Jordan Sweet and Ivan Soldo, the 2 rucks. The 2 rucks. So they've got 4 still on the go. And Richmond is saying, no, you're not going anywhere, Ivan Soldo, even though he wants to.
Does he want to go?
Yeah, he's got real interest in going over there. He's got a longer-term deal at Port Adelaide, got only 1 year to go at the Tigers, wants to be a number 1 ruck, and they're giving him that option.
Right. So Harley Reid, does he go to the West Coast Eagles? Do North Melbourne have a crack? Do Melbourne have a crack? I want him to end up somewhere but the West Coast Eagles, only because Jay-Z on this show guaranteed us that he was going first round to the Eagles.
Well, this is going to just play out for another month.
Well,
So
hang on.
Hang on.
Cal.
Hold your pepper.
We'll just get this discussion happening next.
Twomey has stuck around ahead of Wednesday night's trade deadline. By the way, episodes of his podcast, Gettable, are available daily on the AFL website and AFL app.
All right, so people listening will think that I've got a vested interest in Harley Reid not going to the West Coast Eagles. That's not true. I just want Jay-Z to be proven categorically wrong, and I want to be able to play the audio repeatedly. Right. So is he going to, West Coast going to hang on to one and take him, or is that pick gettable?
The pick is gettable at the right price. Everything's got a price. I don't think North Melbourne's going to offer 2 and 3.
No.
But I do think that they'll come with another offer of 2 or 3 and a selection of their other picks in the teens. So they've got 15, 17, 18. I think if you package up 2 or 3, probably doesn't really matter, to be honest. 2 or 3, 15 and 17, then you make the Eagles think about it pretty strongly. So far, the 4 first-round picks that they offered last week for it, that was a start-off offer.
Yep.
You don't do your best offer early. It's not midnight yet. So you get to that point where you have to make the final dash. And look, I think they're going to hold of it until at least the end of that little trade window that happens after this window. So you can swap picks until November 10.
Oh.
And then again on draft night.
On draft night you can too.
So they may as well just hold and hold because the closer you get, the better info you get, and then you find out who actually is interested in the players around there. So could they push back far enough to get Daniel Curtin?
Yes. Now, what about him? Because Jim's been pumping him up.
Yeah,
he's from Claremont.
Yeah.
But he's got the slides a bit, hasn't he?
Well, everyone's looking at him thinking, well, as a key back, where do we place the key backs? Now, he's more than that. We've had this discussion, Jimbo.
He is.
He's a quality player who can play through the midfield, a bit of half forward as well, which he's done as a third tall. But still, there's a view around the traps that these other clubs around there are a little bit more locked into different prospects. So can that see him maybe be a chance at 1 or 2, but also get through to pick 5, 6, 7?
Ooh.
So that's where West Coast has a decision to make.
Yep.
Yes.
How far back can you go? How low can you go to get Daniel Curtin and access to him?
I would look at North Melbourne because they've obviously got a very good hand in this draft and say that someone like him, if they're going to hang on to 2 picks in the top 4, it would be perfect because they have Sheasel, they've got Wardlaw, they've got Davies Uniacke, they've got Simpkin, they've got Powell, they've got Thomas. They actually have lots of young midfielders. So, and you got 2 and 3, mostly you're tempted to take mids with those picks, but maybe he would offer them something different.
You are tempted because they come in and play straight away, don't they? And you know what you're getting a little bit more, closer to the draft. But he's in their mix. Curtin's in their mix. There's no doubt about that. But Zane Dersma's another one in the mix.
So are you giving us the top 5?
Yeah, top 5. Here we go.
Do you want to do it now?
Off
Top
the
5.
top of your head,
Yes.
the top 5, please. Callum, Twomey.
Harley Reid, number 1.
Right.
I've
He
got...
goes West Coast, Harley Reid.
Yep.
As it speaks.
As it speaks. Number 2 and 3, North. I'll throw in Colby McKercher and Zane Dersma.
Right.
Number 4
Is who?
is Hawthorn,
Hawthorn.
the Wizard.
The Wizard.
The Wizard, your man.
My man. He is
I think
my
he's
man.
kicked 70 goals in all these forms of footy this year.
That's good research, mate.
Amazing by you.
Yeah,
Bill.
I know. You love the Wizard.
Yeah, he's a good Caulfield Grammar boy, the Wizard. He's kicked a
right.
number of goals. And,
Yeah. 5.
Nick Watson, that is, of course, by real name.
Oh, right.
And,
Watto. Yep.
and number 5 then is obviously the Western Bulldogs. Then they have a choice. I think Nick Watson would be in their mix. I also think Riley Sanders would be in the mix as a midfielder. So I'll put Riley Sanders there.
Oh, so see, your man's not there, Curtin.
There's a chance Curtin gets through.
So there's 6, maybe. We'll go another one here. while
Melbourne
we're going.
6. Melbourne 6.
Melbourne. And they would go Curtin, do you reckon?
Oh, he'd have to be pretty closely in the mix. Let's slot him in there for the sake of
Good
this
result for
exercise.
Melbourne, by the way.
If it slid through.
To exactly finish top 4 and end up with pick 6
Yeah,
out
exactly.
of losing
That's
Luke Jackson.
correct. And that's the art of future trading, isn't it? Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But as I said before, I think they're the watch and the Harley heist. I think there's a Harley heist potentially, and they could be the ones to come and get it with 6, 11 and a future pick.
Oh, well, there you go, Jim. See? He knows everything.
He does.
I'm going to start telling my mates this. Get on here. I've got no idea.
Subject to change, of course, depending on
Of
the
course.
picks.
And father-sons and all that, is there?
Well, we're not concluding the bids there for the
Oh,
Academy
righto.
boys. We'll wipe them out.
Academy, yeah.
Do you join in with the people who are saying that the number one overall draft pick should receive another bonus, like 100 grand?
Why
If you're
not?
number one overall.
Why not? It's a little bonus, I think, at the moment, but why not give it a little bit more stature to it and make sure that the player who's best gets that award as
Yep.
well, because we've seen the bidding system have its vagaries over recent years. Jamara gets the bid at number one. Dacos didn't get the bid at number one a couple of years ago. He went pick 4 incredibly. So, and he should have been the number one pick. So there's some guys who would probably be deserving off that.
And from now on, so West Coast, were they to take Harley Reid, guaranteed to have him for 3 years. Is that the new legislation will be in?
And in now.
Right.
So that comes in now. And it's a factor. I think it's a real
no
factor.
doubt.
Bloody oath.
Because you get an extra year to sign up these guys. You're not able to sign them till a certain point as well. And they're locked in knowing that it's 3 seasons. And you've been in footy clubs, Jim, like that original period of transition is the most important, isn't it? So to know you get an extra year out of him. Look, personally, and having gotten to know Harley through the year, I think he'd be fine with moving.
Yeah, me too.
I really think
Everything
that
he says, it points to that.
and he's gotten a bit tired of answering the question. I
Yep.
think a little bit as well, but he's fine with it. It's just a matter of West Coast want to package up and get more out of one selection, or just take the best player in it.
Oh, I reckon it. Well, having left WA to play cricket in South Australia as a young
Yes.
man, best thing I ever did. Whenever I talk to young footballers, I go, mate, embrace it.
But a
It's the
lot
best
come home.
Ever.
A lot
But why
come
though?
home.
I don't get that. Once you're at a club and you're in the fabric of it and you're part of the future of it, it's the best stuff ever.
A lot of Perth boys go home. They like going back home.
West Coast don't lose many though. West Coast don't lose many players back to Victoria, and he's from Tongala. Like, he's going to move regardless of where he's going, isn't he?
I know, having lived there for 23 years, nothing wrong with Perth
No, it's just
or Cottesloe
a
Beach.
long way away, Jim.
Well, so what? Once you're there working, who cares where you are?
Post office.
Oh, I'm
nightclub.
telling you right now. The Cod Hotel.
Cod Hotel.
There's good stuff in Perth, Fat.
Yes.
I'm telling you right now.
Gobbles.
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 What if you're an 18-year-old young bloody Harley Reid? You're not going to
I
Gobbles.
think it was 30 years ago.
So, Cal, we're done. When? This time, not tomorrow, next day.
Yes, 7:30 Wednesday night, and I think we'll see some deals come down to those last few minutes. Asava Ratugolea,
Yep.
Dersma, Zerk Thatcher. I think all of those ones involving Port Adelaide might get down to the wire. So,
Wow.
yeah, keep across it.
How do we
well done.
get hold of Cal's best stuff?
AFL.com.au or the AFL app. They have their trade deadline there, so keep it locked into the AFL website on Wednesday night. Cal Twomey on the rush
Well
hour.
done, mate.